There's nothing like losing something to realize what you had. Welcome to MojoTravels, and today we're discussing what humanity loses when travel stops.
Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to MojoTravels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at the many different things that travel brings to our lives, both individually and as a society, and the holes left behind when we collectively lose the ability to travel. A unique opportunity for personal growth. When you embark on a trip abroad, you're removing yourself from 99% of that which makes up your day-to-day life. The items you pack serve as your only connection to the reality you left behind. And when you divest yourself of the usual context by which you typically frame your life, the only constant is you. Without your home, family, friends, job, social responsibilities, possessions, and routines to guide your decisions and reaffirm those you've already made, you have a rare opportunity to really reevaluate who you are and what you want. Travel is a concentrated dose of new experiences, ideas, philosophies, and priorities. Any one of these might speak to a part of you that you never knew existed. The challenges of travel also foster problem-solving skills and a sense of independence, all the while putting your life in perspective. It forces you to question assumptions not only about the world, but also about yourself. Money. When talking about the things we lose when travel stops, we often focus on more abstract concepts. But when crisis strikes and global travel comes to a sudden screeching halt, the usual checks and systems that protect consumers fail in kind. As many people have had to learn the hard way as a result of a global pandemic, travel insurance policies rarely cover such an event, instead avoiding payment via a number of technicalities. When a viral outbreak occurs, people naturally want to cancel their trip for fear of being exposed to it. But preemptively wanting to avoid potential transmission isn't grounds for cancellation, according to most insurers. Furthermore, for any trip booked after an initial outbreak, an epidemic or pandemic becomes a known factor and therefore an exclusion. When something happens that results in mass cancellations of trips, insurance providers are quick to protect themselves with policy changes. Cross-cultural connection and understanding. In the words of travel icon Rick Steves, quote, "Globetrotting destroys ethnocentricity. It helps you understand and appreciate different cultures. Sadly, for all we've learned about from history, one of the most crucial lessons that people still fail to grasp is that xenophobia hurts us all. When we travel, we immerse ourselves in other cultures and societies, and as we explore, we put faces and life stories to so-called foreign concepts. Culture shock goes from something jarring and unpleasant to a welcome and often sought-after experience, because when we move beyond our comfort zone, we realize that normal life to us is just one of many possibilities, and that the culture of home isn't necessarily better, but simply that which we're familiar with. Travel, both literally and metaphorically, bridges the gap between us. Mark Twain put it best, quote, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely." New friendships. Not only does travel expose you to new cultures, but also to the individuals who represent them. When traveling, one does need to be somewhat wary of meeting new people. Sadly, there are those who seek to take advantage of tourists in an unfamiliar setting. But ideally, one approaches new connections in a cautious but open-minded manner. Making friends with a local is one of the best ways to have an authentic experience and get the most out of your time in a foreign country. New acquaintances provide you with insight into everyday life of a nation, city, or region. A local can pull back the curtain and introduce you to cultural subtleties, as well as hidden gems which travel websites, tour guides, and influencers are unlikely to be able to identify. Then there's the more simple and profound value of making a new friend, which is always valuable in its own right. And because new friends abroad are shaped by their respective cultures, they're even more likely to help you grow as a person. An economic driver. Losing the money that you put towards a trip is devastating, but a dose of perspective is even more warranted. And the reality is, when travel suddenly stops, we collectively lose far more than a few $1,000s. The global economy as a whole is affected, and millions of jobs are at risk. That's staggering. When we talk about businesses in the travel industry, airlines, hotels, cruise lines, and tour companies are the first that come to mind. But when crisis strikes, we're quickly reminded just how far-reaching an economic impact travel actually has. Travel is a major driving force for restaurants, bars, cafes, and nightlife. In major cities, Tourism is also a major source of revenue for merchants. Then there's the widespread economic injection brought to local businesses of all kinds by festivals and cultural events that typically attract millions of visitors. Economists are struggling to quantify the predicted losses stemming from the pandemic of 2020, but it's in the tens, if not hundreds of billions. Unforgettable memories. Cherished memories can be made anytime and anywhere, be it on a family vacation or sitting on the couch with a couple of friends. But there is no denying that travel in particular seems to be the perfect context for producing memories that are especially powerful. And there's actual science to back it up. According to Lutz Janke, professor of neuropsychology at the University of Zurich, quote, "Holiday and travel memories take a prioritized position within this realm of experiences, which is why they are major pillars of our personality." He elaborates that these memories are so potent because they are attached with strong emotions. Furthermore, because we're in a foreign environment, every detail becomes more notable, and by extension, the memory as a whole is sharper. Thankfully, even when travel stops, lifelong memories can still be made with those we love and/or trying new experiences. But when a trip gets canceled, it's hard not to think wistfully about the memories you would have made. Something to look forward to. Our last point is a simple one, but it's one of the fundamental pleasures of traveling. And when global travel is suddenly put on hold, its absence is felt acutely. As great as it is to actually be on vacation, a 2010 study found that, quote, "You derive most of your happiness from anticipating the holiday trip." When you decide to take a trip, it's often months or years in advance. And so as you go about your life, pushing through various trials and tribulations, that trip for many people serves as a light at the end of the tunnel. The average trip only lasts a matter of days or weeks, but the anticipation is something that you get to enjoy for many months. Trip planning is stressful, sure, but it's also exciting. Researching a destination, for many avid travelers, is a strategy to make travel a constant part of life. When one trip ends, you start planning the next one, even if it's years away. When there's no sign of travel on the horizon, it leaves a big emotional hole.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MojoTravels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.